it's Joy. Welcome back for another Whimsy Stamps video. Today we are making a Valentine using the Dudley Mailed with Love stamp set. I love this little stamp set. I particularly love Dudley running to the mailbox and the mailbox itself, but we're going to use the one where he is hugging the candy box. We're also using the extreme postage rectangles, distress inks in the color of Candied Apple, Abandoned Coral, and Worn Lipstick. You're going to see that I have a silicone mat to the left side. People have asked me about that. This is just a silicone oven mat that I have that I've ordered off of Amazon. I've got them in my kitchen too. This just keeps my ink pads from rubbing across my glass mat and making that god-awful noise. So if you're wondering, that's what it is, because I get that question every day. I start out my card inking the Candied Apple in the top 1/3 of the card using a dome foam blender. And then I come in with Abandoned Coral. Abandoned Coral is a little bit more orange than red. I like there to be variations in my backgrounds, so I like to do that. And I blend that down to about 2/3 of the card. And then I start in with the Worn Lipstick, which is more pink. One thing to note with distress inks, these are dye inks, so they go on a little bit blotchy, and as they dry, they become smooth. And that's true of any dye ink. What makes distress inks wonderful, one, is that the vibrancy of the ink, and two, they're water reactive, but we're not going to explore that property today. Now, one thing I do like to do with any type of ink blending, no matter what type it is go back and blend the colors again. So I go back to all the colors, and here's where you're going to see the vibrancy pop because the fibers of the paper are moist, and now we have a fantastic blend. So I do highly recommend always going back to blend a second time. And here's that end result. If you don't like these colors, absolutely make it yours and do it how you love it. We're going back to some old school stamping. I brought the pad out from my MISTI. I find that stamping with an acrylic block and a pad, you get the best impression instead of going on a hard surface. So I am making sure to make my background and have my hearts facing all different directions. I do concentrate them on the edge because we are going to be layering Dudley in the center of that. It's very important to make your hearts go in several different directions so that it adds interest to your card. Off screen, later on, I do end up stamping one more heart, and that was just because I had a hole in one of the areas, and that's just something that you'll have to judge once you get to the point of finishing your card. You're also going to see the other heart that I didn't stamp all the way. That's okay too, because that's going to be covered up by the Dudley panel. I cut this with the largest extreme postage rectangle, and then I stamp good old Dudley down with my MISTI. Full disclosure, my MISTI is, my mouse pad inside is warped, so I had to stamp him 3 times. I even used my elbow to get a good impression. There's absolutely nothing wrong with my stamp. It's because I heat embossed while my paper was in my MISTI on a previous card, and I messed up my mat. So I will be reordering a new mouse pad. The stamps are good. Here we are starting our Copic coloring of Dudley. Here I am choosing YG67, 17, and 03 for all of Dudley besides the horns and his belly. I start out by mapping out the shadows with my darkest color, which is the YG67. So any place that the toes curl under and where they overlap each other, there's a shadow. And I do the same thing for the entire part of the body. I always concentrate on 1 or 2 places and then move to the next. I find that my paper stays moist and I'm able to blend better if I continue to go. I bring in the YG17, I blend over the 67 and extend that out, and then I bring in the YG03, which is the highlight color, and this is where the image starts to become a 3-dimensional appearance. I did forget the little tail that's hanging off to the right, so I'm repeating the process. I am putting in a cast shadow with the YG67, where like the hands would kind of overlap or the body would overlap the tail. And then I use the 1.7 to extend that, and then I do a little highlight of the YG03, and then we are done with the tail, the feet, and the hands. There were some areas under the face that needed some green that I left out, so we're kind of cleaning that up. I'm also putting in cast shadows with the YG67 where some of it got washed out just a bit. Now we are starting on his face. So I outlined the center portion of his face where you have like that crossed area to give him the idea of a round face, round snout. And that's with the YG67. And then I extend that out with the 1.7. And then I come in with the YG03 and I extend that out, and now we're getting that really nice curved round face. Now I finished the top of the head. I did color his pads of his feet and his horns with E44, 4.3, and 4.2 with the exact same technique. It's just easy, simple blending. I am leaving in the coloring of the bow, which I did a Y19, 1.5, and an 11. I used the 19 where the creases of the bow would be, and the inside I also did some little indentations like at the where the points of the bow would be as well. Then I blended that with the 15 and the 11. Now for the heart, I am outlining the bow with a cast shadow with the E39. Then I extend it with a 3.7, a 3.5, and a 3.2, doing simple blending. But this really makes that bow pop by having that cast shadow in there. And the reason I did the red after the yellow is that the yellow a lot of times would pick up the red and we'd have bleeding. So it's always a good idea to do your reds last. Here I am stamping the Just Because onto the die cut Dudley. I used the second to smallest extreme postage die, and then I am backing that with a black matte, and then it's a little bit larger on the right side, so off camera I trim that down flush. Now I am gluing the stamped panel down onto a white base, doing the exact same thing that I did with the black. And then I popped it up on foam, and I am adhering it to a black side folding card base. And I just love the way this all kind of pops. And then I use some foam tape again to pop up the center panel with Dudley on it to finish off the card. Off camera, I add some sequins and some gems. So if you stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I would love it if you would subscribe to our channel. We love hanging out with you guys, and you will find more inspiration on our Facebook page, on all social media, and again here on the YouTube channel. So until next time, keep crafting. Have a great day. Until next time, bye-bye.